Hey everybody, we are live. This is Clint. We had the window open and had to close it real quick. My wife was nice enough to close it because realized that there's a lawnmower going on outside, and that's loud. So we don't want it to be loud. Couple things. I think I'm going to start off. I wanted to look at some crowdfunding campaigns today and share some of my thoughts on what's been going on. There's been a lot of outrageously successful campaigns, and really it's pretty amazing for comics to have campaigns that are just that successful. So I want to look at a select few, but first let me show you some fan art. Sim, hello, welcome. We're getting some people in. We got 9 people watching so far. This should get built up pretty quickly here. I'm going to share my screen and show you guys. Share some fan art. This was pretty great. This is done by a subscriber named Ted Lehman, and he called this fan art, but I'm like, it looks pretty amazing to me. This seems a little bit more, I don't know, like I guess if you're a fan, does it count as fan art? But this is amazing. So yeah, this looks great. It actually got a lot of people talking on Twitter about this can't just be a photograph. We have to do something with this. So I'm trying to think of something to do with fan art because I have seen a lot of really great fan art from a lot of you guys. So yeah, I'm thinking of some options there, maybe like a stretch goal or something we could add, either a page with some fan art. This would look amazing as a print. And so yeah, it could be a good stretch goal. I'm going to think about that a little bit. But yeah, I just wanted to show that to you because I thought this looks amazing. So I thought I'd share it. Let me just pop the chat out real quick because I want to see what's going on. Monday nights are not always necessarily the best night to be streaming for a lot of people, but it works okay for me. The kids are in bed. I actually started a little bit later than I wanted to. But we're here and we're going for it. So Gavin, welcome, says sweet. Yeah, this is amazing. I'm super impressed with this artwork. This is really great. So I did talk to Ted about this, and we talked about shipping it. Oh, there's Ted. Hey, great to see you. We're just marveling at how beautiful this is. It looks so good. Awesome. Yes, he's going to be shipping it to me actually, and I'm going to scan it. And I'm considering, Ted, I'd want to know your thoughts on this. I'm considering talking to maybe a colorist, getting some colors for it and making a print or something like that. I don't know. We'll think of some specifics, but this is seriously a beautiful piece. So yeah, it looks good. Yeah, it was a comics. Welcome. All right. One more thing. Want to give you an update. Let's look at my campaign. Let's look at Downcast. I'm going to get you guys up here too so I can see what's going on. We are so dangerously close to $20,000. It's insane. We're at $19,800 exactly. So $200 away. That's really, really close. 551 backers, which is really, really, that's a great number, especially where we still have a long ways to go in the campaign. I have noticed too that it's been picking up the pace, which is great. Usually in the middle of the campaign, you see things slow down, and then toward the end, they pick up more, and you get like a bump at the end. So I think we're starting to pick up a little bit. The bump is still, it's still probably a week away for the real big bump. But yeah, we'll see it. Yeah, Scotty Richard Studio says bonus art section of the book, maybe. Yeah, I was thinking about that. We could add a few more pages. It wouldn't be a big deal. And yeah, do some fan art. I know several people that have done fan art, so it's just cool to see it. So yeah, this campaign's been doing well. The question got brought up last time I live streamed about a variant cover. I'll give you sort of my thought process there, okay? So I actually went back and forth quite a bit. I actually talked to Kyung Lee about a variant cover and ultimately decided not to do another variant cover. It's hard because no matter what I do, I know it's not going to make everybody happy, but I'm trying to do the best I can and do right by the most people I possibly can. So the reason why I decided not to go and do another variant cover is basically I really didn't want to undermine the campaign, and I don't want to, um, I don't want to know anyone to feel like I'm milking them for cash. So what I am going to be doing is adding some other stuff. I'm hoping to get some t-shirts done soon. I might even do a hat. We'll see. We'll add a few more things, but the big focus on this is the number of backers. And that's what I kind of want to look at. Market depth. This has been fascinating to me to see how big, not just Comicsgate, but how big this just indie comics community is, especially on Indiegogo, because you do catch a lot of people that are probably not on Twitter. They're probably not really into YouTube, and they get on Indiegogo and they just start looking at comics and they're buying stuff. And so having an in-demand store is really great because then it allows just, regular comic buyers. They're not involved in any of the political stuff. They just jump on and they see a comic book they like and then they buy it. So it's been great for that. I'm curious to see how the number distribution is. I don't know that there's any way that I could really know for sure, like how many people were sent here because of the YouTube channel. I can see how many people clicked from YouTube and made a purchase, and that's helpful. But it obviously, if you're watching the YouTube channel, it's possible that you just go to Indiegogo and search for the campaign you want at some point in time rather than clicking on a link, because you can see it's really not that helpful. Anyway, so this one is doing good. And I will tell you, for this stream, I invited a couple people. We'll see how it goes. I was thinking about keeping it small. If no one jumps in, then I'm going to probably invite another group full of people, and we'll see who comes on. Regardless, this will be fun. Yeah, Jim Cox says, I first heard of you with EVS. And then the other EVS is here. It's always great, and you're funny. He says, yes, I'm famous. Yeah, so that's been really, really nice, is getting more exposure because of Ethan. I think he's been a really good route for getting to more people. I also know that your boy Zach, when he did that video on my campaign way back on like day one, it was the same kind of thing. He was like, he just has such a big audience that people will hear about it, and you'll get a percentage of people that are interested in it, regardless of what he says about it. And so that has been really, that's been helpful. Let's see. A man in lunacy says, don't add t-shirts to the campaign. Shipping shirts sucks. Ask Malin or Antonio about crypto fashion. Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I asked them. Malin gave me some contact information about crypto fashion. I'm definitely not shipping t-shirts with books. That's for sure. That would ruin everything. Like, shipping wise would be terrible. So we're not going to do that. Let's see. Dynamo, get involved in anime. Autism. I hear that that will do wonders for your live stream numbers. Yeah, no kidding. Thing is, like, I could commit probably to anime more and like learn exactly what's going on and take my kind of angle on things. I made that video on, I think it was Sunday. I posted a video on Vic Mignogna, and that video is doing amazing. So I don't know, like, I can definitely see, again, market depth. There's just far more people that are interested in anime than there are in comics. Personally, I'm not huge into anime, but like there's definitely some crossover in the audience, so it makes sense. So yeah, I'm trying to find, I guess, a way that I can add value to a larger audience, and we'll see how we can pull more people in. The more of us that are doing that and pulling other people in from other hobbies, we're going to make things bigger. Eric Weathers, we demand more window washing controversy. Yeah, I put that one to bed on Twitter as well. Turns out they made up. They basically all kissed and made up. Yeah, there's a shocking amount of weebs. I didn't even know what really weeps means. I think I'm just assuming, I'm inferring that means anime fans. So yeah, we'll go with that. Yes, this campaign's doing great. The link's in the description below. If you haven't backed yet, consider doing so, especially because we're so close to 20,000. That's a pretty great stretch goal. And Eric, I'm curious, if you want to come in, I will send you a link. Just let me know. Yeah, let me know and I'll send you a link if you're available and interested, because we're going to talk about Jawbreakers right now. Turnabout is fair play. Zach actually talked about my campaign. I'm sure most of you saw that. Yeah, needs to be deadbeats. Ted, you're exactly right. I need to be deadbeats. Few things though with market depth. So deadbeats, while they've been, this is a slight tangent, okay? A lot of people have been critical of Tug's campaign, and we're going to look at that one too. And that Tug has been working really hard to monetize the controversy. Okay, cool. Eric, I will send you a link then, just so you have it when you're ready. Yeah, people have been critical. I'm going to stop sharing here so I can send a link. People have been critical of that Umbrella guy because he, he's been monetizing basically all the controversy. He likes to joke about monetizing Renfamous, and you can't argue with the results, man. He's making a lot of money, and I realize there are other aspects to that. It has more. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of factors. That's definitely one of the factors for sure. Let me just send this. It's kind of like chewing gum and walking at the same time, I guess. Not as good at it as other people. There's Eric. Boom, sent the link. Great. Yeah, so the thing about okay, so that's one side of the coin. Let's share the screen again. Maybe we could pull up that campaign too. Okay, so Tug's campaign, yeah, Kyung Lee art helps too. Exactly right, Saggy Bones. That's another point I wanted to make. So there's so many factors, right? And why a campaign does as well as it does, why it pulls in as much money as it does. I didn't do everything perfect, but I had a reason for the way things were the way that they were, if that makes sense. So my campaign is definitely a $25,000 campaign. Like it was built to raise $25,000, because at the time I thought if I raised $25,000, that was sort of the benchmark that a lot of people had set. Before, my thinking was, oh, if I make 15,000, that would be pretty good. But 25,000, that is basically puts you into the realm of these very successful books. So that was my goal, and I basically have the numbers, like all the limited tiers I have. I added up everything. Like if I sell out of everything, and then get X amount of just single books sold, I will probably hit 25,000. And in fact, that's the truth. I can look at what do they call it, Backer Tracker. I should probably pull that up too. But Backer Tracker actually projects, and it's pretty accurate. A lot of these, I don't know, they collect data, I guess. They make some guesses. It gives you a range at how much you would expect to earn. And Downcast right now, right in the middle of that range, is $25,000. So we are actually projected to earn that much. I'm hoping that we can actually get a bigger bump than it expects toward the beginning. And it is helping that we are actually picking up the speed right now. So that does help. So my point is, Tug was having basically monetizing all of the the fighting and stuff on Twitter. The truth is about deadbeats, they're doing exactly the same thing. Literally exactly the same thing. They pretend that they're not, but they are. So I actually have another Twitter account that I don't use too often. I actually have had it much longer. You can follow me if you want. It's just Clint. I think it's at Clint Stoker. And so, I've don't hardly use it, but I do get on there every once in a while so I can look at accounts that have blocked me. And I can tell you, a lot of the people that have blocked me on Twitter, like blockchain, I've never spoken to them. They are doing the exact same thing with this Deadbeats campaign. So it is really funny that there's almost this competition that's going on with Deadbeats. So I would really like to crush them. I think I think they reach their goal then, but if they reach their goal, they're going to slow down a lot. They don't really care, and that seems to be a trend for their kind of campaigns. They get funded, and then they just let it lie. On this side of the fence, things usually go a little bit differently. People will really push for it, and it does better. So I'm confident we can beat their total number. That's for sure. Yeah, I think it was Aaron Alvarez. He would do these big long spiels on Twitter about how it's basically evil to make a profit with crowdfunding. And then at the end, he would say, "Oh, by the way, back deadbeats." And so yeah, they're totally doing the same thing. Makes sense. Okay, Jawbreakers. So I got excited at first because I thought that this was 2 God King. I didn't really look at it much. Just when I saw that there was a Jawbreakers one, I thought, oh, Jawbreakers 2, here it is. It is not. This is basically second printing. He's already at 23,000. That's great. 605 backers. Again, this gives you an idea of market depth, and he still has 19 days left to go. So he's gonna make some good money on this, even just being a second printing. And we'll look at the tiers. His complaint for me was that I had too many tiers. I agree. Now I have too many tiers. I started out, I think, with the right number of tiers, but you also got to listen to your audience. A lot of people were asking for more tiers, so I added more tiers. Something I'm thinking about doing though is when something has sold out like this, these higher ones, you can actually make them hidden so you don't see them. So it would just kind of clean things up a little bit. And that makes it nice. So yeah, he only has 3 tiers. One of them is gone. This is the original. I do like this though, that he has, it's not just the book. It's $25. This is a key number. $25 plus shipping. I'm guessing that the shipping was like $10 for everywhere, just because that's what Ethan's doing, and I think that's what a lot of the big campaigns have been doing. So that's possible. But he's also adding this pinup, so everybody's getting the poster with the book, and that adds a little bit more value for sure if you're going to spend $25. And then on his end, when he's shipping a book, to add a pinup there with it, that's not a big deal. It makes sense. So I actually think that's smart because it adds a little bit more value for people, and you really want them to get $25. And then he's got the $40 pack, and it's just double everything. So yeah, this definitely makes it easier for people, but it is $25. That's the difference. Now, if you have a lower dollar amount, and let's see, let's pull out a calculator here. A lower dollar amount, we'll do the average. Okay, so if your average is 15 times 500 backers, that was my goal from the beginning. We've already destroyed that. 500 backers times 15, you're talking about $7,500. I did this math ahead of time, and I knew if I had a $15 book, there's no way you're making $25,000. So there's 2 different routes you can go. You can basically, I don't want to say force, but you don't give people the option to do less. You have $25 be your minimum, And then I'll actually bring your average up because you can't get any lower than $25. So you're at least doing $25. Okay, if you do $15, that's your book, that's your entry level. Then you've got to have something to convince people to go higher, because going higher means that you're going to have more per average for your average backer. So we'll do the same thing here. Let's see. We'll do $25 times that same 500. There you go. It might not seem like a big deal. That's the difference between getting funded or not getting funded. And I'll tell you the average, if $25 is your bottom, he's got the $40 tier. So his average is going to be much higher. So average backer is really, really important. I think you're all smart enough to understand that. So going in at $15 per book, you already know that earning $100,000 is the question is the market deep enough? Is there enough market depth for you to raise $100,000 off a $15 book, or a $15 average, or even $20 average? Let's say it gets pulled up a little bit. And the answer is that it gets a lot harder. So I did pull up, let's look at, this is actually a campaign that I tried to model mine off of. There were actually 3 campaigns that I looked at as, I think, sort of a, I don't know, like an indicator, I guess, a benchmark for what my campaign should or could be doing. So Kyung Lee's Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb. The reason I looked at this, look, his entry level is 1 book for $15. That's exactly the same as Downcast. He only has 1 cover. He has no variant cover. That does change things a little bit. How many backers does he have? He's got over 1,000 backers. That's awesome. That shows market depth. If you're hitting 1,000 backers, that's a pretty big deal. 500, I'm really excited about that. But this tells me that it's possible given some time. And I know that he's been in demand for a while. But having your campaign open and it's still out there collecting people every single day, it'll collect new backers, and getting to 1,000 backers is important because your print, like paying for the printing, goes down significantly. And so you're able to do more with the money that you have, which is nice. It also just proves that there's more of an audience. So while it's good to be hauling in a lot of money off fewer backers, it's really great to be just having more backers. And if you can get a lot of money from a lot of backers, hey, that's even better. That's great. So yeah, we'll look at the rest of his. He's got the 2 comics, 25. Again, this is just convincing people to spend a little bit more. You'll still see more people gravitate toward the $15. And then his higher tiers, actually, I was kind of surprised he doesn't have nearly as many backers on these higher tiers as you might expect. And a lot of that is because they're limited. They're shorter, limited runs. I think, so, yeah, $75. It was his highest one. So this is helpful. Do I have someone in the chat with me?
Maybe.
All right. I thought
You hear me breathing down your neck.
Here we go. Proximity effect. How's it going, Eric?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. Yeah, we're looking at some crowdfunding stuff.
Crowdfunding. What's that? Can you explain it to me?
Yeah. You better have it figured out, man. You're launching soon, huh?
I'm well on my way. That's true.
Yeah. Nice. I'm curious, have you started putting together your Indiegogo page yet?
Yes and no. I built it like when I first came up with the idea, and I thought, I'm going to crowdfund this. And I just parked it, basically. And if you don't do anything with it after a certain amount of time, they tow your car. So it's gone. But I mean, I can just do it again.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. I'm still, well, like you were saying, I'm still looking at other models and seeing what I want to do. And
Yeah.
Kyung's Battle Maiden is definitely one of the ones that I've looked at for more than one reason.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's some of those reasons. You can expound on this too, but for me, his was a good model campaign because this is his first campaign. You see it right there, one campaign.
Mhm.
This was his first comic. He was basically an unknown until he got into this, and he started, running the campaign. So it was really, this is incredibly successful.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, like we're used to seeing a lot of really big numbers, but he's got 1,100 backers. That's a lot of
Wow.
backers
Yeah, it
for,
is.
and it's just because his average is lower than, like, we'll say Cyberfrog. Cyberfrog, I think, is at like 2,000. Well, if you combine the three campaigns, but I don't even know. I don't even know how many of those are duplicates. But
Yeah.
those numbers are massive. If he was charging $25, this would easily be well into the six figures.
Yeah.
But the question is, why charge $25?
That's true, and that's something I've struggled with too, is because what we're looking at right now with Operation Zephyr is going to be 48, and I even being signed by both myself and Zeb, the writer, I don't know if 25 is asking too much.
Yeah,
15 sounds decent, but also you want to make it beneficial for not only the reader but also yourself. You don't want to kill yourself by not
yeah,
charging enough. So
hmm yeah. It's a, I don't know. It's a hard game to play, and that's
yeah.
I don't know. I'm learning, but I don't think so. Again, for me, it was like, I'm a first time. I'm a new name.
Hmm.
Luckily, I got the YouTube channel. My the artist on the project, not Ignacio Lazaro, he's published and he's professional in Argentina, but he's new to comics in the States. So, that's where I would draw some comparisons here. Um, my book's full color. This one's black and white. I don't know that that really matters. I'm not sure that that made a difference in this case, especially because it's manga.
Yeah. Had it not been manga, it may have made a difference because Western books, I feel, would sell better in color
Yeah.
if given the option, even if it were cheaper to get black and white for the buyer.
Yeah. I agree. And also I'm seeing page count. It used to be lower. I know he said he had to add more pages, but this is 64 pages now. So this is actually more
Oh, okay.
pages than Downcast. So that's cool. I mean, more pages. I always feel better. Like, I hate starting with 48 pages. It's a good place to start.
Hmm.
But I really like, I don't know, like if I'm getting the book, I want it to be a little thicker. So I was really
Yeah.
glad we hit that stretch goal quickly.
Yeah.
So you
I
can
mean,
add more pages.
I'd like to get it to 60. I mean, we could do that with
Yeah.
supplemental material, um, but for the story right now, the story right now is 48, and
Yeah.
I'll talk. I'm gonna. Zeb and I are constantly talking about how we can make the best book for the
Right.
audience. So, I think increasing that page number is important, whilst keeping the price the right price.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Starting, I think 48 is definitely a good place to start. At the same time, you don't want to grow too big.
mhm.
Because you still got to get it finished on time.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
So
true.
it's like, it's such a hard balance. Um, yeah.
Well, I did
So,
a. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was basically done. Go ahead.
Oh, I did a poll on Twitter. It took me a while to dig it up, but basically the question was, if you're to back a project, how much of the book would you want to see? Would you want to know was finished before you were comfortable with backing it? And I gave like 100% done, half or more, a 5-page pitch, or the other one was I don't care, I'm still going to back it. Um, and overwhelmingly, if I remember my numbers right, like 40% were fine with just a 5-page pitch, and then
Yeah.
a somewhat equal amount, a little less than that, were half or more, and then a way small percentage wanted the whole book done before it launched.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. I expected it to almost go the other way, so that the backer can get their book sooner. But as the creator, it's obviously a whole lot harder to do it that way.
And it's become apparent to me, just in this campaign, that there's more value under the surface of just buying a comic. It's almost like this is a luxury product. You're charging more for it for sure. It takes more time. You're getting, like, ideally more intimate contact with the creator, more updates, things like that.
Yeah.
People do value that, but another value that's there is people like to know that they're helping a creator get a project off the ground that otherwise wouldn't be made.
That's true.
Yeah, and that's something I hadn't really thought about before, but people really like that, actually, quite a bit.
Yeah. And I saw Doug TenNapel say something recently in one of his streams about how that price point, you're getting your money's worth more than just the book and more than just the signatures and the peripheral, the bookmarks and the cards. He said a lot of that added value is, like, he drew every page on stream, and he's constantly talking with, like we're doing here. We're in front of the community, either talking with one another or talking to them. We're on Twitter, we're engaging. He said, and I agree with him. Part of that value is getting to know the creator and then saying, I like the cut of this guy's jib. Here's $25 for a 60-page comic.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's been, I don't know, for me, it's been really interesting, because I felt like, and I've mentioned this before, I guess, but I felt like there are a core group of people that watch my videos, like it, and they want to back the book because I've been talking about it nonstop for months. But there was even a larger group than I had expected that were watching, and they don't comment in the comment section, and which makes sense because my natural instinct, most of the time, I'm not commenting on videos. I'm there to watch. So it was really cool to see, like, the commenters are just the tip of the iceberg, and then there's a whole bunch of other people that are there, listening, and they want to support too. But yeah, it's really cool. It's a totally different kind of indie comics market than I think we've ever seen previously. So
yeah,
super interesting. Vestige, have you been following this campaign at all? I mean, it hasn't been up for long.
No, I mean, yeah, I watched it when EVS did the launch stream, and it just skyrocketed. That was fun to watch, and I've been checking it every few hours just to see where it's at.
Yeah, it's really fun to see the numbers go up.
It really is.
That's part of the reason why people love the streams that Ethan does when they've got a new campaign on. I think of, like, Billy Tucci when he was on. It's so fun to just see the guy's eyes light up, and gets excited, and everyone's seeing the number go up. It really is fun. When you get a big group of people like that all watching at the same time, it's awesome. But so I wanted to draw some comparisons as to what I would learn from this. And I feel like, okay, so first off, War Campaign, they did a little stream. I think it was on day 2 of my campaign. Maybe it was day 1. I think it was day 2. And they talked about my campaign a little bit. And I could sense, I know exactly how they felt. Ro was talking, and he said, man, how did he do so well so quickly? What's he got? And I could feel the almost anxiety in his voice. And I know that feeling before you launch. You're always just wondering, is this gonna fail? Is this gonna do well? And it's so stressful. I hate that pre-campaign jitters. But now it's like, these guys raised far more money than I did in a shorter period of time. And that's great. I'm really happy for them. But there's some differences. So I don't like to compare campaigns straight across and say, like, if you did something this way, it would, you would get the same result. That's not really the way that it works. And so with this one, Donald DeLay is an established comic creator, especially in this community. And he's been published with Image, and like, he's done stuff before. He's a great artist, and he has a name, and a name is important.
Yep.
Second thing is, Ethan Van Sciver's doing the cover. That's a pretty big deal.
You might
in
say.
and of itself. So again, that's like not a straight over comparison. You do have though first time writer. It's Gat, I think, is the one that wrote it. So he's a first time writer. They do have a YouTube presence though. The whole war campaign.
Yep.
They've been, talking about it for I don't know how long they started go talking about it, but they have a presence. They have an audience. It made sense to me why they did well. But it still is just shocking to see. Wow, man, that number went up fast.
Yeah, it
so
did.
yeah, but this is great. It's so good to see more indie creators just crushing it. And I really do think it helps because I keep meeting people that say they haven't backed yet or they've only backed one campaign. Some people have told me that mine is the first campaign that they've backed. And I think once you back one and you have a good experience, you're willing to go back in, dip back in and do it again, So I really do feel like it helps everybody when more
Yeah.
people are backing projects.
It's like people that get addicted to tattoos or Lay's potato chips.
There you go. Yeah. This won't make you fat or won't be permanent, I guess. I don't know if it's long. Maybe it will if you take care of your book. Wow, that was weird. My thing just went away. All right. So that was one. Vestige. That was one that keeps coming up. And Case of the Littlest Umbrella. Holy moly. He's been making a lot of money.
Yeah. I haven't seen this one in a day or two, so I'm excited. Wow,
46,320, 931 backers. And again, market depth, he's charging less per comic. Let's see. $20 is the Hey There. Is this the book?
Hey There. Copy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're good at that.
Oh, yeah.
Hey There. That's about as good as it gets. Yeah, he's got 931 backers. That's a big deal for a $20 book. And then I'm sure, his average will be higher because he's got more, but he's got a big platform. Not only big platform, but I think he was smart to go with Kyung Lee because now in this project, Kyung Lee is a known name. It changes the second time around. He already has a built-in fan base. Tug has a built-in fan base. And it's that manga fan base too, because he's been really getting into the Weeb War stuff.
Yep.
That it's like a perfect, genius. This whole thing was a really smart move for him.
Yeah, Tug, that was definitely a smart move. It really tied into the whole, like you said, Weeb Wars thing. And this shows, I don't know, like I haven't looked at Tug's updates, but I don't know. I'm sorry, Kyung's updates. I haven't looked at his, and I'm looking at him right now, and it doesn't show. Like he's not advertising this through his campaign. So it goes to show you just how much more Kyung would be able to do with Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb #2.
Yes.
How many days are left on Umbrella? Case of Littlest Umbrella?
Let me check. 17 days left. I would not be surprised if he goes into in demand.
Right. Right. So you have it's just success building upon success, and we'll be able to see Kyung's numbers go even higher just because of the people that find out about him through this.
Yep.
Through this campaign. And all the people that want issue 2.
Yeah. This is why I don't know, when you unite powers, like this is such a great example, but like I'll say for Downcast, I'm doing all the marketing, which is great. You know what I mean? I'm doing it anyway. So like I fully expect to do that. I actually enjoy doing it and the videos and everything. Nacho is just working. He's got his head down and he's working, and that's great. If you have everyone in the creative team out there, Wonder Twins powers activate. Yeah, when you've got people in the creative team bringing in audiences a piece, man, you're really talking about exponential success there. So yeah, I mean, I'm just realizing the importance of it. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, if you excuse my use of a term, that people around us don't tend to enjoy. But when you have a more diverse group of creators, meaning they have their
Yeah.
they each have their own audience, then
Right.
you're able to pull in more from the outside. Whereas, you know, I feel like 95% of my fan base right now, maybe even 100, is all CG already.
Yeah.
So I have to find a way to reach outside of that. And as much as I hate to say it, I don't think Bigfoot Bill unboxing videos are going to do it. So
Yeah.
it's something that I'm still like, I
Yeah.
think, it's the build your audience. It's the YouTube thing. Do I need to do it through YouTube? I probably do. I'm going to give it a shot, but who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, man. I'm struggling with the same kinds of questions. And I used to think that my audience was entirely like the whole Venn diagram, mine was entirely within Comicsgate. I'm learning that I still have people kind of outside, probably still mostly within, but there are some people because of you talk to me. And so that's cool. Once you get your campaign up, and it's on that trending page, you're also pulling in people from everywhere. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really cool. It's like Comicsgate's kind of the engine that gets you there, especially if you have a lot of people willing to back you the first day. That really helps.
Hmm.
But yeah, then I don't know. You can get out to other people. Let's see. A man in lunacy says, "I think that the whole that sorry, I think that as the major players learn how to shorten the wait time from funding to ship date, more people will be willing to back projects." I actually really agree with that. The main thing is not just wait time, but if you say you're going to have it done on a certain date, having it finished on that date. And a lot of people have struggled with that. I know Comics Matter with your boy Zach. He just did a video on that the other day, and it's been really important. Well,
Hmm.
he makes some good points, and it's not just in Comicsgate. There have been campaigns everywhere that have been extremely late or just never
Yeah.
happen at
I
all.
mean, not even in comics in general, just crowdfunding in general.
Yeah,
I mean, things are late. I mean, it happens,
yeah,
but you don't want that to be the standard. You don't want that to be what people expect.
yeah,
So, take Malin's advice and set your ship date way out, add a buffer and then maybe add another buffer. So, uh, you know,
yeah, and hopefully beat those expectations too.
exactly.
Yeah,
Aim high.
right.
Uh, yeah.
And that's so another thing. I've been watching a lot of your boy Zach videos lately. But he another thing is his current campaign. Well, let's see right here, Jawbreakers second printing. Um, he posted this and he said, I think something that was important, that he wanted to prove he could get something out on time. So because I was wondering why is he doing this campaign before Jawbreakers 2?
Well, also
Just
the print file was messed up on the first one.
right. And I've got a copy of it right here, and I did notice. Well, you lettered it. I'm wondering.
It
Uh,
wasn't my files, I promise.
no, yeah, I'm not blaming it on you, but I'm like, do you know what would go wrong? Because it
Honestly,
kind of.
it looks like they used a proof instead of the final files. Like they used a low res proof.
Oh,
And it looks to me like JPEG artifacting. So
yeah,
that was my guess. And I know he said that some people said it was clear, some people said certain pages were, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on. I don't know what printer he used. But it looked like JPEG artifacting. It was, for me, it was Lost Souls and then Book 2. Both had the same um, blurry or fuzzy or whatever you want to call it problem in the balloons, and even some of the backfill was the
yeah,
same way on mine. So
yeah. See, I'm looking right now at least Lost Souls. That's where I notice it the most. Um, and even the blacks, I don't know, maybe I'm looking too closely now. The blacks, like the lines, the gutters, the black lines,
mhm.
they look kind of blurry too, or yeah, kind of artifacty, where you can see the black kind of spilling over into the white. again, I don't know if I'm looking too closely. I wouldn't have noticed that, but the lettering I did notice right off the bat. So I'm glad he's getting that fixed, but I still would have thought that he would have. I don't know why. I just thought, oh, he'll do the next one. God can get that one out. But this is also a chance to prove yourself, which I feel like I'm doing the same thing. You got to prove that you can complete the project. I want to look at chat here.
Yeah, it's another thing that is this is one of those examples of make sure you get a physical proof and not just a digital proof, just to make sure you know exactly what it looks like when it's in your hands. It'll cost a little more depending on your printer, but I mean,
Yeah.
it might be worth it,
Well, so this is another thing. So I've dealt with this before with my novels, and it's the same thing. Like the print file, technically, all the measurements work out correctly, but then when you get the book and you look at the spine, the lettering on the spine is not centered, because it's just not quite measured.
Yeah.
For the printing, I don't know how all that works out, but I've run across that before, and so that's been one thing that's been kind of a nightmare for me. Is I don't want it to be, or maybe even make a buffer like black everywhere near the spine so it doesn't look. But even Jawbreakers Lost Souls, if you look at the spine, you can see the back cover kind of spills over on the spine. Like if you put
it does. Yeah.
So, and that,
There it is.
it's not terrible. Maybe
Right.
I'm being nitpicky, but for me,
No,
it's like,
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, you got to look at what your standards are for what you want your book to look like. I mean, even Doug, to bring up Doug TenNapel again, I mean, he was complaining about, as beautiful as Bigfoot Bill looks, he was like, they got the foil stamp reversed and the embossing on the back didn't go deep enough. We're going to notice these tiny things.
yeah,
Whereas the regular, normies, as they're called, they won't care,
Yeah. Well, I mean, with his book, I've actually just finished it. It looks beautiful to me. Like I couldn't find anything to complain about. It looked really good. Like as far as the book, the book itself, it looked really great. But yeah, I mean, that's how you get better. And I don't know, part of it, I think a lot of people don't realize is you really are starting your own publishing company. You might have a printer, but you still have to do a lot of that pre-press work again, which is you do a lot of that kind of stuff.
I do.
Yeah. And it's important.
Yeah. It's often, I mean, with good reason, it's the thing that's thought of the least.
Yeah.
From the creator, the creator of the book standpoint, in their mind, they're not thinking, how is this going to fit together in the book? Are these margins okay? I mean, if you've gone through it before, you think about it. But if you haven't, like a little behind the scenes with Ravage, the pre-press was a nightmare because there are standard trim guidelines that are pretty standard for all printers, unless you're using newsprint. And then that 1/8 inch bleed goes to a 1/4 inch bleed, and that can throw off your entire thing, your entire layout within InDesign. I'm getting a little technical, but
yeah,
it could throw everything off because apparently on the printer itself, the newsprint is a little bit more slippery and it moves around more, so they need more space on the margins for when the blades come and trim it down. So that was a whole thing about making sure every page was to these new standards, not knowing. And this was a printer that hadn't done comics before. It was a whole fiasco, but we got the books out, so that's good.
Yeah. That's always important.
Yeah.
All these little things, and you can't, it's okay if you don't know how to do all this stuff, but you gotta, I don't know. It's one of those things like I'm not going to do, even though I've done it for my novels, I've done it for, I mean, there's like one picture, there's a watermark in there. That's it. And then there's the cover, and that was enough. Getting the typeset and everything was a pain, but doing a whole comic would be, I mean, completely different because you're dealing with bleeds and Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Let's see. Scott in the chat says, "Hey Scott, by the way, he says this sounds like a very familiar conversation. I think has been happening a lot. Yeah, trying to figure out and learn from all these campaigns." Man in Lunacy says people are only comfortable risking a set amount of money on things that might never deliver at any given time. I agree with that wholly, and I hope that this never happens, but statistically speaking, it's possible that there could be one of a Comicsgate campaign that just doesn't deliver. I really hope that it doesn't happen. So far, like people have been late on their books, but we're not talking 5 years. You know what I mean? Or
Right.
like no contact from anybody, no updates. I really hope that we can, get books out when we promise to get them out. Dynamo says Zach's sub growth went to 0 when he changed his channel name. Yeah, he kind of got stagnant. He's been starting to growing though. He's really close to 100,000. He's like 99,000 something now. I wish he didn't change the name just because it makes referring to him more difficult.
Yeah. Now we just call him your boy Zach.
Yeah.
When it was easier to say diversity in comics, and then that was also his YouTube channel and also his Twitter, which he nuked anyways. So
yeah.
But well,
yeah. No, so you got a whole. I'll talk to my wife about all this kind of stuff, and she's not into comics, but she's a good person, so she'll listen to me. but I'm like trying to catch her up on everything, and I'm like, Zach, like she's like, wait, is that the same? Like Richard C. I'm so confused with the Richard C. Meyer versus it's all the same person.
I went through the same thing.
Me too.
Because when I got Jawbreakers, I was like, oh, I got hired by, because she's not into Comicsgate. She's got 2 kids to worry about. She's got real life stuff, not this fantasy land we run around in with comic books. And I'm like, and we know we have a friend named Zach. So I started talking about Zach's lawsuit, and I was like, wait a second, let me explain what I mean by Zach. So
it can be hard sometimes to get it all sorted out. Man in Lunacy says the real question is, what is the difference between the successful Indiegogo and the unsuccessful? Why did Tales from the Stacks fund, but Tales from Beyond the Gate did not? Both look great.
That's a good question.
I mean, I've got theories, but I don't know.
Too.
I don't know. I think there's stuff to learn from all of these. I will tell you the anthologies, though, like you've got a team of creators behind them, they're a harder sell still. And that's across the board. That's for anything. Anthologies are just a tougher sell. Obviously you can still be successful and do well with them. I think Tales from the Stack or Tales from Beyond the Gate could probably relaunch, having done some, I don't know, marketing ahead of time or something. I don't know. It just felt like it didn't have, I don't know, like it didn't have like necessarily the same kind of marketing that some of the other more successful campaigns have been.
Well, that's true. And they were starting from they were a fan community, much like War Campaign. They were starting from a much smaller to insignificant to almost zero fan base. And Professor Geek was the one who launched Stacks, and he has a big YouTube channel, so he's already involved in that. He got great covers by John Malin and Kyung Lee, and that helps. That really helps. I was in Beyond the Gate. We had John Malin art, but we didn't show it because there was only one page, and they wanted to save it for the book. We had Ethan Van Sciver if the campaign funded, but it didn't. So other writers, Mike Barron, Gary Shipman, artists like that. So there are other things that I think that were a problem, but that's something that's being discussed right now is how to fix it and how to relaunch. So
yeah, and that's the thing is it's not the kiss of death to fail a campaign. I still think that a lot of things looked really good about it. The campaign itself looked good, but yeah, that's something that. Well, another example is Chaotic Flux. I thought that book looked really good. it was a flexible goal, so he got the book made and everything. But I feel like it should have made more money than it did, and that had less to do with the how the book looked, and I think more to do with marketing ahead of time and having people knowing about the project. And I realized that's really, really difficult to do.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's difficult. How successful Downcast has been is directly related to me making YouTube videos every single night after I got home from work and posting them and doing live streams and going on other people's live streams since October, the early days of October. So I mean, it's a lot of work on that end. And again, you amplify your power if you have an artist that's doing the same kind of thing, or or not necessarily on YouTube, if they're on Instagram or wherever they are.
Yeah.
But yeah, that cannot be underestimated. The amount of time just talking to people and making them aware of your project far before you launch.
Well, that's definitely what we're doing with Oz. I mean, people have been hearing about it for a while, and I know a lot of people are excited about it, but I don't think near enough people know about it. It helps. I think the fact that I'm lettering a lot of these Comicscape books is going to help, but to what degree, I don't know. It could be $100. It could be who knows how many. But I do believe it will help, even in some small way. But building the audience, I mean, that's building your fan base before you launch. It's key, because guys like Ethan and John Malin and Mike Miller, they already had a fan base.
Mm-hmm.
They were built in with it, and Mitch, and even your boy Zach. I mean, everybody, they all had something going beforehand. You, Tug, the War Campaign guys. I mean, it's proof over and over again. It doesn't have. I mean, Ethan had YouTube, but Mike Miller really didn't have YouTube. John Malin didn't really have YouTube, not to the degree that he did. And it just shows that however you have your audience, having it is crucial.
Yeah, it's just talking about it a lot. And I've heard a lot of people say you can't. The only reason why Cyberfrog was so successful is because Ethan already had a 25-year-long career in comics. John Malin already worked for Marvel. That's why, this kind of stuff. That helps. Don't get me wrong. That helps. It actually helps your YouTube as well. You're more likely to be able to get off to a better start. Grinding through those first 100 subscribers is really, really hard when you're nobody. And I would bet money that for Ethan, getting to 100 subscribers was really easy. I would bet you that was easy. Same thing with John Malin. Same thing with Mike Miller. That was easy. But that's still, it doesn't, I think at least I'm proof of that. I'm nobody, as far as comics are concerned, nobody.
You are
but
nobody.
If you, I still am nobody. if you bust your butt, you can still build up an audience. And I don't have 100 grand yet. But I'll tell you, the next campaign, the thing is, this is a stepping stone, because now I have money, or I will, after this is all said and done, I'll have money to invest into like I've been saying a lot, a blockbuster project, and keep building the channel and things like that, and having a little bit more seed money to be able to invest into comics. I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. And to make one more point about the audience, sometimes the audience, you can have a big audience and it goes nowhere. I mean, you have to engage them. I mean, look at Rob Liefeld's Brigade Indiegogo. He didn't even crack $5,000, and it's Rob Liefeld.
Yeah.
So, if anybody's going to have an audience, Rob Liefeld is on that list. And, he didn't, 60 backers. That's it.
Yep.
So it's not just audience, it's engagement with that audience. So,
and you're right. It'll go, if you optimize it, if you have 100 subscribers and you get, I don't know, 3 comments on every video, if you comment back to read their comments and comment back to every single one of those people, they're much more likely to, feel good about you and want to comment again and want to watch your videos, all that kind of stuff. I feel like a lot of people want, I don't know how
Hang
to
on.
say that.
I need to go reply to some comments.
Oh, are people commenting?
No, on my channel. Yeah, my three commenters.
Oh yeah, yeah. You gotta read them and comment back. It's important. Yeah, I think a lot of people want to feel like they are above it, or they want to give the impression. I get that, and I've heard this saying a lot. Small businesses always try to pretend like they're bigger than they really are, and big businesses pretend that they're smaller than they really are.
Mhm.
Uh, it's really an interesting thing that happens, but it's true. But if you have a small audience, you want everyone to think that you're bigger than you really are. And so for some reason, what goes along with that is not engaging with people because you're too busy or something. That's actually wrong. That's the opposite of what you want to do. Especially in like an indie comics community, it's so much more effective if you're building relationships with people, even though, most of them are just reading someone's comment and commenting back. That makes a big difference. And I try to do that. Now I'm at the point where I just don't have time to do it. But every time I do, I leave the little heart.
Mhm.
So especially if you watch the video, usually within the first day, I'll read everything that's there and I'll leave a heart. Even sometimes if I don't leave a heart, if you said something really, really nasty, I won't leave the heart because I don't want someone to screenshot it and then post it on Twitter saying that I approve.
Right.
But yeah, no, I probably read it if you posted it in the first day. Not always, but that goes a long way. I mean, just talking to people. Yeah, which is interesting because we talk about all engagement and stuff, and I've heard people talk about the concept of the perfect campaign. And if you have the perfect campaign, you don't need anything other than the perfect. Like you've got the perfect project, it looks beautiful, the pitch is amazing. You're just automatically going to make tons of money. I'm not sure that that's true, but I have heard that theory quite a few times. The closest thing, and this is again why I look at Battle Mated Knuckle Bomb. Kung Lee got funded before he was found by Ethan Van Sciver, and I don't think he had any audience. So I do like, I don't know. It's really interesting to look at his campaign, even though it doesn't have the total dollar amount that's hugely impressive. I mean, let's be honest, $40,000 is really impressive. But he's
It
not,
is. Yeah.
it's not six figures. But what he did at the campaign with where he was at, where he started from, it really is amazing. And it's something that I think if you're thinking about starting a campaign, that's an important case study to look at what he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was doing a lot of things right.
Yeah, I think he had an audience. It just wasn't from anything other than his artwork. If I remember, I may be completely off base here, but I think he had some sort of following with his artwork, either on DeviantArt or Reddit or something. But like I
Yeah.
could be wrong with that, but
No, it could be true. I'd have to ask him about it. I'm curious. But I know it. Yeah, it's his first comic, and that's what I would suggest. Like, I don't know that there really is a perfect, like, such a perfect project and a perfect campaign that's just going to kill it.
mhm. I don't think that
But
exists.
you do.
I don't.
You don't. Yeah,
No.
I don't think so either.
Because at what point is it considered the campaign? Because if it's the quote unquote perfect campaign and it makes six figures and has 10,000 backers, yeah, that's good. But can you fulfill it? And are you still successful? And do you still come out in the black after you've fulfilled it? Maybe. Are you able to follow that up again? What if anything could happen? What if Cyberfrog Book 2 fizzles? I'm not saying it will. I highly doubt it will. It
Yeah.
probably won't. But I'm just saying,
But yeah,
what part of Cyberfrog or whatever campaign is considered quote unquote the campaign in order for it to be considered perfect? Because if his like with Bigfoot Bill, he had that whole shipping kerfuffle. With Jawbreakers, he had the printing problem. So I guess what I'm saying is John Malin's the only one who's had a perfect campaign. So there is one example.
he was on time.
He
And
really did.
yeah, Yeah, he estimated correctly. He got it done. He did have his book finished though, didn't he? Ahead of time.
That's true. He did. Yeah.
Yeah,
Everything
which
except for what I did.
yeah, the lettering and
Yeah.
yeah. I'm imagining like pre-press work, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. All that pre-press is done after the lettering. So
So this is why I'd love to have, again, like crowdfunding is great because you can get a project going. I would have a really hard time financing a book completely by myself. Not only that, but it would be really hard to like convince my wife that it's okay to finance that ahead of time. Crowdfunding is amazing because you can already prove that there's people that are interested in it. You got it paid for, paying the artist, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and then you can get the project launched. But it would be nice in the future. I'd love to have the book all done ahead of time, just so I know like it's a quick turnaround time. But that's, I guess it's part of the process. You got to get there. The Leftover says, I'm curious to know your thoughts on the criticism that Comicsgate detractors have about Comicsgate creators have been grifting. Is that what you mean? It says gritting, but because they could have started a comic publisher like Alterna. Well,
I'd say just wait.
yeah, that's true.
I mean, Cautionary is a comic book publisher.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. And there are other things going on behind the scenes that just haven't been announced yet.
Yeah. This is still a young, yeah. The Leftover says yes, grifting. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I think yeah, it's still a young movement. Alterna has been around for 12 years. I think Peter said 12 years to be what it is today. The other thing, I don't know. This is the same wall I keep running against. I keep thinking, should I just start a publishing company? Like I'm basically, right now I'm my own publishing company, essentially without all the branding. But at the same time, it's like, why do we really need another publishing company? What I'd like to see is
not necessarily.
Yeah, I totally agree. This is again where you have people coming together that are doing what they're good at. If you had several people that have YouTube yeah, and they're all working for the same publisher and publishing books. If you had like an Image Comics kind of thing, creator owned, but you all were with the same publisher and you were each doing independently lots of promoting and stuff and marketing, you could all benefit from each other. You could have a really, really powerful publishing company.
That's true.
And yeah, I mean,
that gets into the whole gatekeeping argument too, though. Because that was a big deal, 6 months ago or whatever it was. This has all really happened in a very short amount of time.
It really has, yeah. It hasn't been long. I mean, Cyberfrog, the first one was launched not even a year ago.
No, not even a year ago.
Not even a year ago. Things have developed. Like it went from being consumer movement to now creating indie comics. All this has happened very, very quickly. I will say about gatekeeping, I don't really understand. I don't understand the debate. I don't want to alienate anybody. Just a reminder, everyone, I am monetized. So if you feel the need to super chat, don't feel like you can't.
But hear that? He said, if you feel the need to super chat, don't. That's what I heard.
Context matters. Yeah. Yeah. So the whole gatekeeping thing, this is why I like owning my YouTube channel, because I can run it however I want. But
YouTube guidelines.
Right. Yeah. As long as YouTube is happy, which they're rarely happy.
That's true.
Yeah. They'll randomly make videos. So I'm learning when now that I'm monetized, they will randomly make certain videos that they're restricted so they don't get as much advertising revenue or something. It's weird. I don't get it. It has everything to do with the titles. But my point is gatekeeping. Yeah. If you have a comic book publisher, if I owned a publishing company, I wouldn't publish everybody, because then what good is the publishing company? You have to be selective because you want there to be quality for your readers. They're trusting what you're getting. Now that's a comic book publisher. If I don't know, there's all sorts of these arguments coming up. I don't fully understand, I guess, like collectivism. I'm an individualist. I want to give people chances to improve and get better and have a high quality standard. But if there's a publishing company, and I see we got Peter Samedi in chat right now, so he would probably definitely know more than I do.
You might know a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. But you got to be being selective about what you publish, I think, is important. Otherwise, there's no publishing company. I don't know.
Mhm.
And of course, this could vary depending on what you're talking. If you're not talking about publishing, it might mean something else. But I know this is like a touchy subject, but I don't know. Makes sense
Yeah.
to me.
Well, Peter knows all about gatekeeping me because he turned down Flying Fortress and a pitch I did with He Who Shall Not Be Named for the Aquabats comic. But that's okay. I'm not bitter, Peter. I swear.
You did an Aquabats comic? That's cool.
I did I pitched a book with a writer because long story short, Peter put a thing on Twitter saying he was talking with I can't remember his real name, but Bat Commander, and I was like, oh my gosh, we got to do a comic. And so a friend at the time and I put together a pitch and sent it to Peter. Said, hey, see if this will go anywhere. And he sent it on, and they looked at it. They said they liked it, but nothing ever happened for it. So.
Man, it's selling it. That's the other, I don't know. That's the other part of it is, can you sell it? And I don't know. I don't always have the answer to that question, but that's a tough one.
I love you, Peter. I'm just poking fun.
The Leftover says, sweet cast, I backed your book. That's my super chat. You're right. You did. I'll read everything you say. I really appreciate it. That's what I'd rather have you do is back the book, honestly. Everett Todd says the comics need to get cheaper in general. I agree, man. This is why I struggle with the $25 price point for a book plus shipping. I understand like there's a luxury component to it. Like this, you're selling a book, you're also selling like a creator that's getting into comics new, you're helping somebody. And let's be honest, that's part of what crowdfunding is just helping somebody get something started they otherwise wouldn't be able to get started. I get that. At the same time, yeah, it is expensive. That's why I wish that there was like publishing after the fact. Like honestly, what I'd love to do is publish Downcast 1 and 2 and then break that up so that it's at 4 issues, because each of those could be 2 issues, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually have wrote a nice chapter break in the middle of Downcast. But I'd love to do 1 and 2 and then, you know, get those out there. And then later down the road, publish them as single issues.
Yeah.
And then later down the road, you could do more Downcast and then collect it all in a big thing. And you just reach more people and make it more affordable. I don't know. I think it's doable right now, though. Again, it's like, I'm not a publisher. I'm not there yet. And speak of the devil, Kyung Lee has joined us in chat.
Hey,
how's it going,
guys?
Hey, man.
Good. I just walked in. So what's going on?
We were talking about you quite a bit, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. All great, wonderful things.
Yeah.
Oh boy. What
good things. Good things. We're looking at some of the campaigns, and basically the point is that you can't compare them all. It's not apples to apples. There are a lot of unique things about every campaign.
Sure.
Your campaign was one. I'll say both yours and then Nasser's campaign were 2 campaigns that I looked at before I launched, because I thought if I could do Kyung, you have a $15 book, I have a $15 book.
Mm-hmm.
And then like just looking at the number of backers you can get, that kind of stuff, there are still some pretty big differences between your book and my book. But I thought if I could get as many backers as you got, then I would feel pretty darn successful. Obviously you're farther down the road than I am, but
I've been running longer too.
Yeah, I'm curious, when did you start your campaign initially?
Battlemane and Knucklebomb launched in October, and from the research that I did prior to launching, I found out that October is the best month to launch throughout the year. Just from the various articles that I read, all of their graphs showed that the highest backing rate was in October.
You heard it here first, folks. Operation Zephyr launching in October 2019.
Yeah, I think it was smart. So I looked at the same statistics. I was like, I want to launch then. But I didn't want to keep people waiting. So I was actually like, I'm not going to make any promises, but I'm like, it'd be awesome, Nacho, if we get Downcast done and fulfilled before October, then we can launch Downcast 2 in October. Wouldn't that be great to do 2 a year? I don't want to put any pressure on him that he doesn't need, but yeah, it's a big deal. Just optimizing. I'm guessing you did more of that kind of research too, but especially when you're starting out new, you can't like even launching like Zach did on a Saturday night at like 9:30 at night. Normally that would be a bad idea. It didn't really matter too much for him. It makes no difference. But what were some of the other kind of optimization that you did so that your campaign would be successful?
Oh man, it was just doing a lot of research ahead of time, because you always hear about these campaigns that you put it up and nothing happens. And a lot of times the biggest mistake that a lot of people do is they don't do enough promotion before they launch. They launch and then they start promoting, and that's ticking away at the time that you have while your campaign is live and active. You want to have as many eyes at the very, like, right out of the gate, right at the starting line as possible. So it's important to build up that to build up like I guess a fan base. What you did with your mailing list, for instance, was exactly what you needed to do. As soon as your campaign launched, everybody who subscribed to your mailing list, they knew about it.
Yeah. So we were speculating a little bit, but Kyung, before you launched, look, this is your first book, correct? Battle Maiden Knucklebomb is your first book.
That's correct, yeah.
How did you build up your audience ahead of time?
Well, I did have a small audience from DeviantArt and Patreon, but they were mostly like, they didn't know that I did comic art. They knew me as just as an illustrator. So what I did was I started reaching out to Edwin, to John Malin, started talking to them, and then I did what, I forgot who it was. They called it the triple jump. Like Mario 64, the triple jump.
Oh yeah.
So I did all of the work ahead of time. I spent August and September building up the story, creating the preview pages, and then once I had all of that ready, I'm like, hey, look what I got. So I got in touch with Edwin, I got in touch with John Malin, and through John, he introduced me to Mike, and then they got me. Well, actually, it was the people who caught on to Battle Maiden Knucklebomb that got me on Ethan's show. They, like, for the I cannot stress this enough, because my backers really helped BMKB take off, because almost every single Comicsgate channel, they were spamming Battle Maiden Knucklebomb, and they were getting other people's attention, and so much to the extent that people thought that I had bots set up. It's like, no, they're just excited about it. They really are. I actually had to tell a couple of them, tone it down please a little bit.
Yeah.
But
that's so funny.
yeah,
sorry,
so the backers, they wanted this book to get out there, and I am very thankful to my backers for helping me promote. But yeah, I was just extremely lucky.
Well, and you did do a lot of hard work ahead of time, but
you do as much as you can, but yeah, luck
Right.
definitely factors into it too, though.
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot too. Even same thing with YouTube. I don't know, like you work hard at it. I've never thought about this before, and it sounds weird saying it, but I guess I have a good voice.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
I get that comment a lot, and never thought about that before. But that's like purely luck, I guess, that people are like, oh, you're good enough to listen to or to fall asleep to. I get that a lot. But yeah, the other thing is the backers. what's been really interesting is I've never reached out to have any press done, like any articles written or anything like that. But I've had enough backers that have been so vocal about it that, like, I had this article on Sunday, I think, that was posted on geeksandgamers.com, and they were just gushing.
Nice.
It was such an awesome article. And then like I think Bleeding Fool did one, and like all of that was because backers have been talking about it so much, you know, and so that's been great. And even just on Twitter alone, and I'm not on Facebook a lot. I know it's been circulating on Facebook as well. But yeah, getting backers excited about it, your core people that are interested in it, and when you're engaging with them getting online and just tweeting it out over and over and talking about it and doing fan art, things like that, that helps a ton. Even if you only have like, I don't know, like 12 people that are super jazzed about it, those 12 people can make a huge dent.
They can make a lot of noise.
Yeah, for sure.
Make 10 men feel like 100.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's how even like the Twitter activists do it. There's really not that many of them.
I know, exactly. Yeah.
They know what they're doing from like a crazy angle. The Leftover says you have a soothing mid-tone voice. Why, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I still want to do like a ASMR video sometime. I gotta figure out figure out how to make that interesting.
I always hated the sound of my own voice. I'm sure most people do, but I worked tech support at an internet company, and my manager would always say, whenever anybody calls and they're upset, it's like, as soon as you start talking to them, they calm down. He goes, you have a very soothing voice. I'm like, I don't know if that's true, but thank you anyways.
Yeah, no, I think it is. Actually, I think both of you have good voices for broadcasting, actually.
Just wait till I have a cold. It's about 10 decibels deeper, and it's much more
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I can do a perfect Kratos impersonation when I have a cold.
So when I did the Saturday morning streams, I would roll out of bed and then turn on the stream, like just start streaming, and so my voice.
How's everybody doing today?
Yeah,
exactly.
Sexy voice, yeah, NPR voice.
Welcome to Comicsgate.
Yeah. So Kyung, I got a question for you. For your next, I'm assuming there's another Battle Made in Knuckle Bomb campaign. Is that gonna happen, you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. I like, why not? You know? So what would you do differently now that you've learned this first time around? What do you think you would do differently, or would you just double down or a little bit of both?
Well, I like yeah, I adhere to the KISS methodology, keep it simple, stupid. So it's pretty much going to be the exact same thing for the second campaign. It's just going to be issue 2, same bonuses. I'm thinking. I love trading cards, so I'll be adding more trading cards. I'm actually going to be making the trading cards into a series, so you could actually collect them all. There'll be like a card list and everything. But yeah, just I always wanted the focus to be on the comic itself.
Yeah.
And further down the line, I'll be looking into merchandising, you know, because right now I want to establish the story, the characters, and then if people actually start caring about the characters, then they'd be interested in buying like t-shirts and stuff like that. So I do have a couple of shirts available, and they've been selling okay. I'm looking to everyone's been telling me to go to crypto fashion, so I'm gonna send in the email. But yeah, just focus on the books for the campaigns, and yeah, that's at least that's the plan so for now.
Yeah,
but still same pricing point, 15.
Yeah, that's good. I think yeah, especially with Downcast, for me, I'm like, I'm gonna do a $15 book again. And I mentioned this early in the stream, Kyung, you know this, but I was like, I feel like I need, you know, I feel a lot of pressure to like be another campaign. You know what I mean? Or like comparing apples to oranges. And so it's like I need to add something, you know, I want to add like a variant cover again. But it's always been like I didn't want to add another one anyway. So I talked to you a little bit, and yeah, I'm like, I want to keep it simple. The focus is really the backer number. The number of backers is huge, and that'll help for the next one, definitely. You're going to get higher numbers for sure. But I really feel like the first campaign, you shouldn't underestimate the fact of having a successful campaign and just getting out to as wide of an audience as you possibly can. Because you can always launch again and do like a second printing, like Zach's doing. All sorts of stuff. So yeah, I think you're smart to keep it simple. That's for sure.
And also, especially with a lot of campaigns out there that are doing really well. I mean, Tug's book, for instance, I said it last week, he's going to pass up Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb by the end of the week. And I remember telling this to John. John's like, nah, you won't do that. I'm like, just watch. It's going to happen. But, we have all of these books that are making 5 figures, but it's like, don't forget, I was really worried initially when I launched that I would be able to make 3,000. That was the goal. And I'm like, oh my God, will I be able to make this? Will I be able to make this? And, like I said, I put in as much work as I could and a little bit of luck, and I was able to hit, day one funding. But still to this day, I am very appreciative of being able to reach that $3,000 goal. We have all of these books that are making 20,000, 30,000 plus, but just remember 1,000, 3,000, that's a lot of money still.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. And I don't know, they're like comparing again, like you look at these huge, massive numbers, and that if that defines what success is, I think that's wrong. Like eventually, like that'd be awesome, to get there. But something again, like that can't be underestimated is having a successful campaign and getting your book out there for the first time for people to read. Yeah. And then when they read that, then they're, hopefully you do a good job and they want to invest in the next one and the next one. And, it really is a long game. Shade says, never forget Antonio Bryce of Brand had to try 3 times before he got funded. Yeah, that's a really, really good example.
And what is his first or even second one only made like $97. So, and now look, he's over 60 or close to it or whatever. So,
and the second time around, he had Kanan with him.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Kanan has a following. He's had it for a while, and to see it crash like that is I didn't see it, but to hear that it crashed like that is surprising.
Yeah.
And but I'm super happy for him. I mean, that's some fantastic. That's a good up and comer story,
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Anagram brings up launching a campaign sounds nerve-wracking. Yeah, it is. My wife was like, I can't wait till you just launch your campaign so you can like sleep, just like let it go. But it's so stressful. I feel like, I don't know if it's for everybody, but I can sense it in people. Even you, Eric, like you can, the campaign is pending and you don't know that feeling of just not knowing what you're capable of doing or what you should expect.
It won't be my first one either. So it's, there's definitely some nerves that creep up when you start thinking about it. It's like, oh, okay. I don't even know what number to ask for, let alone if I'm going to hit it.
Right. Yeah, man, it's stressful. And then it's like mid-campaign, like the beginning of my campaign, I don't think could have gone any better. I was so pleased with how it went. Mid-campaign, it's like a totally different thing. I will say one thing I would change is next time around is have a very planned out mid-campaign strategy. My goal was like, I just want to get funded as fast as I possibly can so I can like breathe easy. So that worked. That was great. But like mid-campaign strategy, like, well, now what do I do? So that kind of stuff is, I think, important. And I don't know, I guess just you get out there and you do what you can. But I don't know, it's definitely a learning process though. And you got to figure out what works for you, because there are slight differences, I think, that work well. What works well for someone might not quite be your strategy. I don't know. Still learning about all this stuff, but I do think it's important to look at some of these other campaigns and see what they did right and what you want to implement.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. And I do wonder if there's going to be a publisher down the road that you don't have to worry about crowdfunding. I don't know. Might change it though, because crowdfunding is kind of fun for people to be a part
Well, I
of.
mean, there are publishers out there that let you crowdfund anyways, and then they still publish it. And that's what was going to happen to Jawbreakers.
It's true.
So
Yeah.
it's not one or the other, you know.
Yeah, Alterna even, they have
Mhm.
books that crowdfund as well.
That's true. Yeah. There's no reason.
Get
I
your
mean,
facts
it's
straight,
actually
man.
awesome. Then you're in the black already once you get you're funded, and then you go to print and you're already making money. So that is, I think it's good. It's a nice model. Getting distribution afterward would be really nice to just have more reach. Again, like the total numbers of readers that you're able to get to. That's like really the goal, I think.
For you getting into shops is the goal.
Not necessarily shops. Actually, I don't. It's never like, it would be cool to be in a shop, but it's not like for me like a dream or anything.
Mhm.
Even if I was just out to more people, like if you think about it, even if you get 1,000 backers, you got 1,000 people, give or take, that are reading your book. That's good, but it's not like, it's not huge. It's
No,
not.
it's not.
You're really not out into the public. I think, I don't know, something, the industry probably has to evolve a little bit. I think there are going to be some things that change, but getting out to more people would be my dream, I guess. The important thing.
Yeah, I mean this whole thing is still very new, and there are people within the indie scene who are trying to build up that infrastructure because it's one of the reasons why most the average price for these Indiegogo books is 25, is because there is a bit of a premium involved, because for a lot of us, like myself, for Clint, and this is even for industry professionals with 20 plus years experience, like John and Mike, this is our first independent endeavor, and so we're still trying to figure out the logistics. We're still trying to figure out how much shipping is going to cost, and there's still we're still factoring in the numbers. I mean, Mike and John have solid numbers, and they're comparing notes, trying to find ways that we can alleviate the financial burden on our customers, because we don't want to have to charge $20 for international shipping. So we're trying to come together. We're trying to figure out how can we do this more effectively, more efficiently, and the groundwork is starting to be laid down so that we can have those alternatives. But it's going to take a little bit of time to get all of that, to get the ball rolling, to get it all developed. So because that's the number one complaint that I get from my international backers, is they're paying more in shipping than the book is actually. The book's 15, but they're paying 20 for shipping. And I myself, I admit that's ridiculous. And I wish that, I could offer cheaper shipping, but until we find a way to actually get that happening. So the ones who have backed, I'm even more appreciative that they're willing to, to give me a chance.
It's tough. I'm in the same boat, and I didn't do. I did like you did. I split up at international shipping. It wasn't just for me. It's $6 domestic, $18 Canada, and then 25 everywhere else. And again, it's like you try to make it work, but you also don't want to lose your house.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that'd be bad. You don't want to get killed over shipping, because that's a cost right now. It's like you can't do anything about it. But if that can get worked out in the future, and same with printing, getting lower prices on printing, that's a big deal, and it'd be much easier to pass that on to backers. So, but it is cool that there's so many people that are willing to help, even when prices are steep like that. They want to be a part of this. I don't know. It's really like the future of comics, future of indie comics at the very least. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, like the fact that we're on these shows, like I'm live streaming on DLive every night now, And we have Drawn and Quartered every week. We have Sons of Comicsgate Live every week. We have Comicsgate Presents every week. We are constantly putting ourselves out there for the entertainment of the viewers and backers. So and they themselves feel like they're a part of the process. Like during my live stream just this morning, Liam was actually talking to me and asking me questions, and he got me. It's like he asked me a couple questions about Knucklebomb that I didn't have a solid answer for, and so I was kind of working on developing the character live with the audience that I had. So that was actually pretty fun.
Yeah, that's nerve wracking. I've had those questions, and you're like, well, yeah, let me work this through. It really is cool because that's part of the. It's just, yeah, I guess part of the benefit is you can be a part of the, the book being made.
Mhm.
Scott says, what about digital versus physical, pro con, and pricing on digital? I didn't start out with a digital in my campaign, but I had, it was a few people that really wanted digital because of shipping. So I added digital. It has cost me money. I am sure of it. I think what I would do differently, I'm not opposed to having digital. I'm actually not as worried about pirating as maybe some people are. What I am worried about is like undermining the campaign for the print book.
Yeah.
And actually just completing the book is expensive without printing. Like it just, especially, it's not like it's just my time. I've got to pay the artist. I've got to pay a letterer. You know what I mean? Like you have to make sure you have that money done.
Yeah.
Eric wants to get paid.
That's right. I'd like to eat.
Yes. So what I would do if I had a digital tier, I would make it cost $15. I know that sounds like a lot for digital.
Hey,
but
free shipping.
You do get free shipping if that's the concern. But it's also just realizing that you have, there's definitely a reason, I see it now, why Amazon will sell a digital copy for the same or more than the print copy. It definitely undermines your campaign, or it can undermine your campaign. It's hard to, it's hard to figure out the right balance there, but it's a learning process.
Yeah, and there are different schools of thought on that. If you're familiar with Jason Brubaker,
oh yeah,
he does it the exact opposite. He will give it away for free, the full thing, and then he will crowdfund it. And he built his entire comics career on that. It started with Remind, yeah. And he, once a week, a page a week, or whatever your schedule is, and you give it away, and he would do six figures on a crowdfund as well. So there's no one single way to go about it. We almost sort of, while we were in the middle of, we never did a crowdfunding for volume 2 of Flying Fortress. We just paid for it for ourselves. But we were thinking of that for volume 2. So we just started giving away volume 1. We put it up on our website. You could read it fully. It was on Comixology for $1 an issue. It still is, by the way, Flying Fortress on Comixology. So, like I said, there's more than one way to skin the proverbial cat, and it just depends on which route you want to go. I think the problem with giving it away for free beforehand is if it doesn't catch on, then you're just making the book for yourself.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I don't know. I think this is why I'd love to be able to draw. After I have done my part with this campaign and Nacho's drawing it, I'm really going to put my head down and learn how to draw better. I don't know that I'm going to be good enough. My standards are getting higher and higher for what art I want to publish. But I'd love to be able to draw my own book, because then you could do that. It takes a lot of time, but paying somebody else to do it is like, it's so I don't know. I can't just afford to pay thousands of dollars that you think might not ever come back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I could afford to
the
put
artist,
time into it. Yeah. So I don't know. It's but it makes sense though, because I read Remind, and it was cool and it made me want to buy the book.
Yep.
Same thing with Icarus and the Sun. I don't know that it wasn't the same kind of format, but he basically had, from my understanding, all that art already out there on Instagram ahead of time. And so
And we
enough people
considered it with
wanted it.
Oz too.
Yeah. How far along are you with Oz?
Oh, not far at all. We have scripts and we have some pages drawn, some pages finished that a lot of people have seen if you've got the ash can. The rest of the book is in early stages as far as I'd say the whole 48 pages is roughed, or sorry, thumbnailed, and more than half of that is roughed out. So I'm I'm tying up some loose ends on some other projects before I dive in fully. So
Yeah. No, makes sense. Anagram says you can do it, Sweetcast, but it'll take a long time unless you do it every day. So that's why I'm thinking it might even be kind of fun just for the channel if I said, I'm gonna see how much I can improve in 3 months or whatever, like do some kind of a self, motivated boot camp or something, or stream or something like that. Show progress every day, and just see like how much better I can get in 3 months. That would be kind of interesting.
Oh, that would be excellent.
yeah,
It would be cool, and I have the ability to obsess over things.
it's
So yeah,
there's actually a community with that within Twitch. I was in there. I started after I ended my series with Flying Fortress. I got kind of burnt out doing comic book work, but I still wanted to create, so I started digitally painting, and I started from scratch. And I streamed. I'd get up at 4. I can't do this anymore. I probably could if I put my heart and soul in it, but I'd get up at 4 in the morning and stream for 2 hours before everybody got up, and I had to work through my day. And I learned how to paint from, doing studies of apples to doing full illustrations of, P-51 Mustangs, and just in like 4 or 5 months. So it's there. I mean, you can do it. You just have to you have to find the
Yeah.
time. Obviously, you're not going to do it during this campaign.
no.
Yeah.
So, like I have to have, be done. But it's not going to be done really. Like it's still very hands-on with, making sure that Nacho knows what he needs. He has everything he needs, and there's going to be still promotion. I'm still going to do the YouTube channel, but I don't know. I'm like, if I just think the payoff of, again, another thing, comparing campaigns that are selling original art pages, generally speaking, make a lot more money.
Mhm.
And so I don't know, like there's a benefit to that, that you don't get it as a writer, or if you're doing it working in digital, like you don't have that. You're missing that.
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons why I'm switching from doing Oz digitally to do it traditionally, is so
Yep.
that's an option for people, because it isn't. I don't want to call it easy, but it's easy money in a sense. The page is done. You give it a general price per page, and you don't. The only thing you have to worry about is shipping it. So that can bring in a few extra $1,000, and that's important. And all of that goes into printing more books. So
Yeah, I love that idea. Yeah, I think it's important. I was thinking if I had like hiring another artist, I'd want them to work traditionally, and we can do that. But then it's like, how do you work out the sales of, I know it gets complicated for sure. Like sharing, that's why you work it all out with contracts, I guess. But yeah, just things to consider. These are all important distinctions between campaigns and why they don't all do the same. Jason Black says, after the campaign, I'd be happy to start routinely provoking you with art advice. Hey, that's always welcome. And I'll post stuff on Twitter and ask for feedback, and I mean it. Like I have no pride when it comes to art, because I know I need to improve.
that's good. That's good.
Arnold says, you're improving every day you put pen to paper. Totally agree. Yeah, I think we're caught up on comments there. Yeah, yeah, it's important. I don't know though, like how long did it take you guys to feel like you were good enough to put out a book that you drew? That's
You want
tough.
to go first, Eric?
I was about to ask you if you wanted to. I'll go ahead. I started way before I was ready. I hate to keep bringing up, but Flying Fortress, that was made by me and a couple of friends, and we came up with the idea in 2009, and by late 2009, and a year later, in late 2010, my friend Andy, who co-wrote it, said, "Oh, by the way, we have a table for a convention in April in Kansas City." And we didn't have anything done. We didn't have any book. He said, "So we need to get a book together." So we put it together. I started drawing. It was, he was, he's the one who pushed me out the door and said, "Here's your parachute. You better catch up to it." So the entirety of Flying Fortress is watching me grow as an artist, pencils, inks, colors, and letters the whole way through. So
Wow.
you don't have to start when you think you're ready, because I wasn't. And looking back, I mean, I can see where I was strong and where I was weak, and I think it helped that it took me a long time to get through that book. And I can't just, with painting, it was different. You could sit and study. It's a little easier for some reason. For me, it was. But with comics, I can't just sit down and draw anatomy. I can't just sit down and draw things in perspective. I have to do it on the page in order for me to want to do it, because I honestly don't want to sit down, and nobody really does. I don't want to sit down and learn anatomy. I don't want to sit down and learn perspective. You have to do it. I have to do it in the page as it's going out. So you get to see that growth. So to answer your question, I don't think I'm ever feel like I'm fully ready, but I know you can look back at your career, you can look back at your artwork and say, well, I'm definitely better today than I was last year, than I was 5 years ago. Yeah. So there is that. But to say, it's like, you have kids, right, Clint? It's like when people ask you, how do you know when you're ready to have kids? You're never really ready.
Yeah.
You just go with it,
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's both inspiring and frightening at the same time.
As our children, having children.
Yeah. Oh, cool. We've got Douglas Ernst just popped in. How's it going?
Hey man, I hope you could hear me. You're probably ending right now. I just got your link, so sorry I'm late.
No worries. Yeah, I don't know how much longer we'll go, but yeah, I don't know. We're having a good discussion, so I've been kind of just going with it. So
yeah, I figured I at least would just drop in and be like, "Hey, what's up?"
Cool.
Nice to meet you, by the way.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Likewise, yeah. I don't think we've been on a stream together.
Yeah, every time I come in, there's a new crowd of people that I get to meet, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I try to vary it and get some different people in. Doug is one of I don't know. I would consider you a friend, and we talk a little bit on Twitter and stuff like that. So it's always fun to stream with you. So, but yeah, Kyung, this is the first time I've had him on. Eric, he does my letters, and I've had him on a few times. So yeah, good company for sure. We're talking about drawing books, and I'm kind of wishing I was an artist so I could just write and draw my own stuff. So I wanted to ask the same question to Kyung. When did you know or feel like you were ready to go out on your own and draw the book for people to pay money for?
Yeah. This is one of the hardest it's a question that's always brought up, and a lot of people struggle to answer this, but the answer is actually pretty simple. It's different for each individual, obviously, but the way that you can tell is you have to be able to objectively critique your work. And if you are unable to, get some of your friends, family, people who you trust will give you an honest opinion of your work. They won't sugarcoat it. They'll tell you what they honestly think. They'll give you critique on what needs to be. Because when it comes to things like people, anatomy, perspective, we deal with these kind of things in our daily life. We're constantly looking around at the world around us, taking in information. And when we see an illustration and something looks off, it looks wrong. It looks off, but it takes somebody with a critically trained eye to actually tell you why it looks wrong. So what you do is you take your work and you compare it to where you want to be. So like for instance, pick up some comics out of the bargain bin, for instance, and lay them out next to your own work and see how you compare to those artists and see if you are within that tier. And if you feel that you're at that level or above, move on to higher level artists. We all have our own tier lists in our head with artists who I think this artist is better than this person, or you have your own levels in your head. So being able to take your work and compare it to what's on the market is a good way to kind of establish where you should set your price point for your own work, or if you're even ready to get into the industry. Because there are a lot of people who will, as artists, we're constantly evolving and we're getting better the more we practice. So if you wait, you don't want to get into it too early, because then you'll kind of build up a reputation as an amateur artist who's not really that good, and that could damage your career in the long run. They'll label you as that kind of budget artist, and they'll get used to paying you lower rates for pages. At the same time, you don't want to wait until you're like the next Sheree, because you'll never get into the industry at that rate.
Yeah, it makes sense. And when you say getting feedback from people and like it takes a trained eye, I totally relate to that with writing. It seems like, so I'll usually have a few people read my stuff before I publish it. And like having some just readers is great, but you need to have writers read it because they'll know, like, man, I just don't know, this was story, a reader will just say this was boring to me, or I didn't care, your main character is boring, I don't care about them.
Right.
Well, a writer can tell you, well, X, Y, and Z is why your character is not a sympathetic character. There's some really specifics. So when it comes to art, I'm like, I know that I cannot draw hair. I know that that's a problem. I think my faces, at least the things, are generally where they're supposed to be, I think. But my anatomy, like shoulders, and I don't know, I'm looking at one of the things I did just recently, and like I know there's stuff off, but it's still hard to identify. So it's definitely good to have somebody tell you exactly what it is.
And you want to find the right community. I mean, you don't want to have people saying, you don't want everybody to say, oh, it looks good. You need those. That's what forums like Pencil Jack back in the day were great for, because you would get, hey, it looks great, but then you'd have somebody just rip you to shreds. And it was tough to hear, but at the same time, it's the best advice you could ever get. If you don't have that community, find it. And this is to any artist out there who's trying to learn how to pencil, ink, color, letter, whatever. If you don't have that community, find it. And if you can't find it, go to conventions and just start asking pros. If go to a pro when they don't have a lot of people at their table and say, could you tear me to shreds here? Can you tell me what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong? I've had some great portfolio reviews from people that, some artists that people don't know, some artists that everybody knows. So, and that's only ever improved the end product that I put out. So I was at a friend's house. I don't want to name drop, but I have a friend who's still big in DC, and he we go to his place every once or twice a year, and we go out to eat. But every once in a while, I'm like, hey, could you just take a look? And he's very gracious with his time, and a lot of the things that he has told me went into, I mean, I redrew the first 8 pages of issue 3 or 4 of my Flying Fortress series just because of his feedback. Because I was like, you're right, all of this stuff, I need to change this and this. I might as well go back to the drawing board.
You're friends with Batman, aren't you?
I'm friends with Batman. Somebody high up in DC, that's right. No, but that is to say that you want to be able to find the community or the people that will be honest with you.
Yeah. Because
if it's like you're watching American Idol and the people that come up and think they can sing and they can't because their mom said that they're a good singer. So it goes the same way with well, with anything really, whether it's sports or art or whatever. But we're just talking about comics here, so
Yeah. And that's exactly why people get so freaked out before they launch a crowdfunding campaign, because you don't want to be the guy on American Idol. You think that what you got is hot stuff, and
Yeah.
nobody else does.
Yep.
Arnold says Jason Brubaker has a wicked cool book called Cognitive Drawing that is
Mhm.
very good.
Yeah.
Sorry, just bumped up there. Way to build your skills fast. There's a school that started using it to teach their kids. I actually watched a few of his videos on that system. I'll have to buy the book.
It's worth. I have it. You can. You should buy it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll have to pick it up. I think that's a good idea. I do think it'd be a good challenge. Like 3 months. Like how much can I improve in 3 months? I just think.
Yeah, that's
too.
Are you familiar with 100 Days of Making Comics?
No.
Keeling, have you heard of it?
It's I've heard of it. I don't know what it is now.
Well, basically, it was started by an artist named Kevin Cross, who did a book called Monkey Mod years and years ago. And the idea of it is you don't have enough time you feel like you don't have enough time during the day to make your comic, to make your thing.
Mhm.
So his challenge is just work 30 minutes a day, every day, and record it while you do it. Either do a vlog while you're doing it, talk about it after, do a weekly one, but post these videos 100 days in a row on YouTube saying, I did this today on my book, whether it's research for a character or breakdowns, roughs, penciling a panel, inking, whatever. And by the end of it, you've got a good portion of a book done. Or in your case, Clint, going through learning how to draw, whether it's a different, it could be a Loomis book or whatever you want to go through. But yeah, you should just Google 100 Days of Making Comics. I think it's still a thing.
Yeah. No, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Ecasalt, thank you so much for the super chat, $2 super chat. No comment, just the $2. Really appreciate that. I'm scrolling down too fast. Isottle Baldling. Sorry, I know I said that wrong. Your art is better than mine, and I took an art course. Not sure how to feel about that. Then again, I stopped drawing during that time outside of high school classes, and those classes ... That says a lot. Well, thanks. Yeah, I did go through spurts of wanting to draw, and so I would sketch every day for a little while, and then I was like, I actually got into this community and tried to do a comic. I tried to do Downcast myself, and people were extremely harsh.
We rioted. I was there.
Yeah, and not so much that they were like, hey, you need to do. It started out with like, hey, you need to do this, that better. It kind of evolved into you should not be making comics. Yeah, which was actually like I think back of it, and that was terrible. Like I don't know, like it should have gone differently, but
yeah, well, it depends on how you take that advice too. I mean, there are pros
Yeah.
out there that got that advice, and they've made their careers off of that advice. They said, "I'll prove you wrong."
Right.
So,
well, I did go back to that little community and post a link to Downcast. I was like, hey, remember this book? Check it out. So I didn't draw it, but yeah, I believed in the story, so
it's good.
Yeah, it's there now. Scott says, great discussion, good guests, gotta crash. Good night. Or night all. Yeah.
Good
See you,
night,
Scott.
Good night.
Doug, let's get you in because you've just been kind of listening, but I don't know. Any thoughts on any of this? And then I do want to ask you about your upcoming project as well.
Yeah, I figured at least I got a front row seat to this live stream, so I'm good no matter what. But yeah, I think when it comes to searching out people that are going to give you harsh constructive criticism, that's always a good thing. And any sort of creative project, to me, it's like a big block of whatever, and you chisel away at it, and the beautiful sculpture, the Michelangelo David, is inside there somewhere. And every bit of criticism you get, as long as you're honest about it and you're humble about your own abilities, you'll be able to make those little adjustments and keep whittling away and keep chipping away, and eventually you're going to have something like a Downcast that you're proud of.
Mhm.
And I just think, again, it just comes really down to the humility of the creator to be able to take that criticism and kind of filter out, okay, what's just someone being a doofus, and what is someone who's like, okay, they're on to something, and I need to focus on this, and I need to fix it. And if you could do that over and over and over again over the course of 100 days or whatever it is, you're going to keep improving. And at some point in time, you're going to have a product that you're willing to put out into the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, can you tell us, I know that you have a project that's somewhere in the future. Can you tell us anything about it yet? I don't want to put you on the spot.
The main thing, so there's 24 pages that are drawn. It's almost halfway done. The
Wow.
covers are in, but I don't want to. So with my campaign, I don't want to launch it until I know for a fact that when I give a date that it's going to like ship by, it will ship by that day. There is no, and that's not a knock. I know that Richard has done videos about that stuff lately. He could run his campaign any way he wants, but for my campaign, I want everyone to know that when I say it's going to be shipped by this date, it will be shipped by that date or earlier. So I'm going to make that a priority. So the project itself is rolling, and I'm really happy. Actually the hardest thing is not releasing images and not really giving too many details at the moment. It's just like I'm chomping, I want to get it out there is basically what I want to do. So it's tough right now.
Yeah, it takes a long time to make a comic.
Yeah.
Especially if you have, like you said, 20 plus pages already complete. It's like, I want to show these off, but no.
Yeah.
You gotta
Man, I'm excited to
discipline.
see it though.
Hey, Doug, if you need a letterer, Clint knows a guy.
Awesome.
Yeah. I don't know if you have plans for that, but Eric is a professional letterer, so I know you've seen his work like everywhere. So
yeah, well, my plan is to keep making stories. Hopefully, people like it, and I'm biased, obviously, but I think it's pretty solid. And I gave it to 4 guys. I took my own advice and I said, please just rip me to shreds, and they gave me honest feedback, and I made the adjustments that I needed to. And so, yeah, I'm thinking that it'll be like maybe like around May 20th is when I'll probably launch, somewhere around that.
wow.
And then
Oh,
it'll be a really short campaign. And then I want to get the book out. I don't know. We'll say like August, maybe. That's the tentative plan. But I plan on going down to Bell County Comic Con this year. I guess I will say that. Richard was there last year, and those guys had a blast. So if I could go down there and have some products, some merchandise to sell, then that'll be awesome. So that's the plan anyway.
Very cool.
Solid plan.
That's one of the things I really want to do too, is go to a Comic Con. I probably won't be able to the fall, but this winter, I think they have a Salt Lake Comic Con here. I think it's in February.
That's a big one.
Yeah, it is big. I want to do it, and I want to do I don't know how they do this, but submit to do like a workshop or something, or a panel, like crowdfunding or some, comic skating or YouTube or something like that. I think, I don't know. I feel like it could be really helpful. I went to one and listened to these 2 guys talk about digital inking. Basically, that was what it was about. And it was cool because you kind of got to know them a little bit. And then I went to their table afterward and talked to them a while. It's the same thing, I guess, why YouTube is so, it's so helpful, because you get to know the creators. So I don't know. I thought maybe I'll try that. Though I've heard
Cons cons can be very good, but they can also be very tiring. We did cons for 5 or 6 years straight. Not a ton, 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 a year, depending on the year. But that was our audience building. That was our crowdfunding, was hitting the same shows over and over and say, oh, by the way, the new issue's out. And, you'd get however many people, and we'd usually sell out of that issue while at the show over the weekend. So And that's another way you talk about building an audience. That's another way to reach out to people that would otherwise have not heard of you.
Yeah.
And it's not even about having a panel. It's just having a table, because there are plenty of people that come to Artist Alley looking for something different. They come, if you've ever been at Artist Alley and you've done indie books, you hear that from customers. They say, I'm not really into all the mainstream stuff. I want to find some new books, find some new artists and stories. And so, and who knows if they're on Twitter and know what's going on with Comicsgate.
Yeah.
So definitely that's a way to grow your audience. And then if you return to that show the next year and the next year and so on, then you've got this fan base that will want to line up.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you say you're not going, then they're going to be disappointed.
Yeah. And I don't know. It seems like this is more to me than having a book in a shop for some reason. Being on the other side of the table at a convention,
Mm-hmm.
to me, it would just fulfill this little need. You know what I mean? Like, I did it. I'm a creator on the other side of the table. So, I think that would be cool. Angram says it's a little hard to give good criticism through Twitter, but I do my best. Always glad to give advice. Angram is a really good artist, and so I really appreciate the feedback there. I will definitely be posting more art when I get some more time. Right now, that's at a premium. Yeah. So,
not to hijack your chat, but somebody asked me how much table costs. How much do tables cost? It depends on the show. If you're a guest, it's free. But being a first-time creator as a guest can be hard. But you've got a bit of a following. That might happen for a smaller show. Small shows, tables can be $40, $75 for a weekend, for a 2-day, 3-day. Big shows, $200, $300, $400, maybe even more than that. So it just depends on the show, and you have to weigh that with how far you have to travel. If you're going out of town, you got to get a hotel. If you don't have family nearby or friends nearby that you can crash, food, gas. There's a whole lot that goes into convention money than just the table.
mm-hmm.
And there's all the materials you have to take with you, all your books. If you're an artist, you got to bring material to draw with. It's a whole thing. And then the conventions themselves, like Denver, for instance. I've done Denver a few years, and it's like, oh yeah, but you can bring your stuff in to put up your table, but nothing with wheels. You can't bring anything with wheels. So that makes things fun.
Huh.
Yeah, you can't use your dollies. You can't. It's ridiculous. People do it anyways, but there are weird rules for different conventions.
I'm going to show this off one more time. Because I see that Ted Lehman is still in the chat. He did this. He's calling this fan art, but I'm like, wow. He did this for Downcast, and he's going to be mailing it to me. It looks. I think he said it's 11 by 17. This is like full sized.
Yeah. Looks pretty good.
Yeah, he's going to send it. So I'm like trying to figure out. We can maybe stick it in, like do some pages, or we'll make a stretch goal or something to add this.
That looks great.
Book. So yeah, I'm super impressed. Looks really, really good.
Very cool.
Yeah, great job with that. That's been a really cool thing, is the fan art. That's another like unexpected thing that's been pretty great. And like Kyung, you did some as well. It's really, really cool.
Oh, I'm slacking.
Yeah, I'm like, I would like to do more, but like if I do it, it's more of an insult to your character. It'll get talked about. Maybe that's something.
Hey, no press is bad press. Is that what the saying is?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. People will talk. It might be whispers or groans, but noises will happen.
Clint's drawing again.
Yeah. Cool. We probably better wrap up the stream. This is, you know what? This is a really good group for like chill. Like I think everyone on here is pretty even tempered, nice voices. We were talking about that earlier. So yeah, it's nice, like chill stream. So
come to me for all your tech support needs.
That's right. Cool. Thanks everybody. Don't forget to leave a like on your way out. That really helps. and subscribe, all that good stuff. I know we got a few more backers for Downcast because I get the little notifications on my phone, which has been great. If you don't do anything else, at least just check it out because it's worth it. I'm going to read Angram says your character is a steampunk looking pretty girl. Man, of course I want to draw her. Yeah, Angram did a really good one too. So that's really cool. So yeah, and then we've got Kyung Lee. Thanks for joining us. You've got a YouTube channel and a book out right now. It's on in demand. Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb. I can't say that too fast or I get it wrong.
BM Kibi, yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. You can find all my stuff at kyunglee.com.
Okay, and then we got Eric Weathers, also YouTube and books. Your book is coming out soonish.
Soon-ish, yeah. I think we've decided now we're going to launch in October, right, Kyung? Yeah, Operation Zephyr. It is a future military retelling of The Wizard of Oz. It is coming out soon-ish. You can sign up for the mailing list, and I'll put a link in chat whenever I get my wrench.
Oh, do you not have one? Say type something in, and I'll give you a wrench right now.
Okay, it's a lot to type, but
yeah. And then of course Douglas Ernst. I'm guessing everybody knows who you are, but you've got a YouTube channel. Pretty important around these parts. Anything you want to pitch to us?
No, as usual, I just want to thank you for inviting me on. I always like meeting your new guests. I have a great time, and thanks for allowing me to at least give people a little tease. There will be a book launch in the near future sometime. So thanks, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. All right, thanks everybody, and have a great night. We'll see you.
Take care.